saw what Alexis Texas was doing with her two-hand twist and her exaggerated moans, and she had a fat ass. It made me look at them like objects. I didn't really see the true value in women besides ass, titties, booty, big bulging eyes, right? I just saw them as an object and I used them as that. I'd go through the browsers, X videos, Pornhub, RedTube. I had to block them off my phone. And I knew, as a man on my purpose, that I must stay focused. I knew that I had to have more discipline. Yo, what's good, boys? It's Kyrie. I'm back here with another fucking banger video. Tune the fuck in, like, comment, and subscribe. Today's video is going to be on porn and how it fucking destroyed me. Now, I got introduced into porn 6th grade. I had a friend on the football team, and he just moved into the neighborhood next to me. It's a nice, big 3-story home, cool balcony. I lived in a decent home, and I wanted to go. I didn't really like the bro, but I had no friends around the neighborhood, and I was like, fuck, like, let me go check out the crib, right? So I pull up to the crib. His dad was one of our football coaches, and they were just kind of weird. Like, the energy and the vibe in the house, it was like really weird between him and his wife. It just, the dynamic, I just remember it being awful. So me and bro were kicking it, hanging out, playing video games, whatever. And we ended up going into his parents' room, or he needed to grab something from his parents' room or whatever. We go in there, and right on the bed on his fucking iPad was like a fat ass orgy, like a bunch of people naked. And at 6th grade, you have to understand, people get introduced into porn different ages. 6th grade, I was still a kid riding scooters and bikes and playing pickup basketball at the basketball hoop outside on the street, right? I had no idea what porn was. Now, I saw that and I asked bro what that is. He's like, oh, that's my dad's stuff. Like, that's porn. And I was like, what is that? And like, it piqued my interest. But I was actually sick and kind of grossed out about it because I brought it home. I brought home the idea to my mom, and I was like, hey, I went over to my friend's house, and his dad had this on his iPad. She's like, you can't go over there anymore, right? Boom. 8th grade comes around. 2 years later, I kind of just listened to my mom, and I wasn't that interested in wanting to watch it. So 8th grade comes around. There was this one dude, and he kept talking about beating his meat. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go home and beat my meat. And me being curious, I was like, what is that? Like, what is beating your meat? So I looked it up as soon as I got home from school that day, and I looked up Pornhub. I remember grabbing the fucking Vaseline lotion bottle, the cocoa butter, you feel me? And I looked up how do you beat your meat, and boom, that's how I got into it. My first video ever, I think I watched Alexis Texas. Y'all know who that is. That shit had me fucking hooked after that day. I busted my first nut, bro, and it just felt so surreal. Like, I didn't even know how to get up for real, right? I was a little kid. I was like, bro, like, what the fuck was that? So it piqued my interest. From that day on, I kept going day after day after day, getting home from school and just beating my meat. Funny thing is I shared house, like we shared rooms with a bunch of my siblings. So the only time I could beat my meat was when no one was home, and I ended up actually tying up the door knot with resistance bands because we had no locks on our door. I had to put on the headphones. I vividly remember I had to use toilet paper and paper towels because I shared towels with my siblings, and I thought it would be disgusting that if they found out I was beating my meat. And number two, I didn't want my fucking semen all over the towels that I shared with my siblings, right? I ended up doing it about 3 times a day. Once in the morning, right when I woke up, once after lunch, and then once before I went to bed. I would surface all the porn websites. X videos, XXX videos, Pornhub, X Hamster, RedTube. I knew all the porn sites. I was so indulged in it, right? I even had a private browser where I saved my favorite videos, and I couldn't get out of the loop of wanting to beat my dick every day. I actually had a girlfriend at this time, and during that time, I wasn't satisfied with her. I saw what Alexis Texas was doing with her two-hand twist and her exaggerated moans, and she had a fat ass. And my girl was fine back in the day, but damn, she was not doing what Alexis Texas was doing. I would much rather, in that moment, beat my dick than see my girl, and that is so backwards. That is so backwards for so many reasons. But I couldn't get behind the idea that this is what I have and this is what I saw. I knew that it was a sin. I knew that I was going against what God wanted, and I kept doing it over and over and over and over again. And I felt the guilt and I felt the shame creeping up on me, and it made me to want to make a change. There were days where I would spend at least 3 hours beating my dick, right? It was fucking burning, and I would still beat that fuck because I fucking loved the reward that it was giving me. It made me lose motivation, and my energy levels dropped tremendously from beating my dick every single day, right? This really changed my perspective on women. It made me look at them like objects. I didn't really see the true value in women besides ass, titties, booty, big bulging eyes, right? I just saw them as an object and I used them as that. Once I started to have sex in real life, I realized it was nothing like porn. You know, all the acting, all the porn stars that I was never gonna fuck. I was like, damn, bro, like this shit's ass, you know? So I knew at some point, if I wanted a real connection with a woman, that I must remove porn from my life. It had a grip on me and my mind every single day that I lived, and I was tired of it. The next step that I took was I had to take action. I knew that I had to remove all the triggers. I had friends that would send me Instagram models, TikTok girls, big booty girls shaking ass. I knew that I couldn't see that anymore. Why? Because that would lead me to fucking beating my meat every single day. I told the bros, stop sending me this shit. I had to get off of Instagram. I go through the browsers, X videos, Pornhub, RedTube. I had to block them off my phone. Purposely, I would block the links. That way I could not even beat my meat if I wanted to. I had to cut off all the old hoes in my phone. Girls that I knew that if I wanted something that I could get it. I had to remove the old ties. The women on my Snapchat, I had to get rid of them. I couldn't snap them anymore. Them sending me titty pics, booty pics all the time. It ended up me fiending for something sexual 24/7. And I knew as a man on my purpose that I must stay focused. I knew that I had to have more discipline. I knew that I couldn't beat my meat. I knew that my wife wouldn't want me to beat my meat. I knew I couldn't have kids and beat my meat. I vividly remember trying my best not to view women in that way. It took a lot of time. It took years of healing. It took years of changing my perspective on women. You hear people slander women all the time. Women are great. I knew what I was doing was wrong. I knew at some point I couldn't have a wife and kids and be beating my meat and hiding it. I knew that I needed a real connection with a woman. So what I did was I had and I tried for years is to view women in a different way. When I'm walking at a grocery store or in the mall, instead of looking right at their ass, I'm gonna look them in their eyes. I told myself that every single time I saw a woman. I stopped looking for only sex and started looking for activities to do outside of sex because sex is not all, bro.